Welcome back everyone to another exciting deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins, where we uncover the hidden treasures that could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change or tucked away in an old jar of pennies. And today, we are focusing on one of the most incredible discoveries in modern numismatic history, the 1991 1-cent coin, which due to its extraordinary errors and mistakes has been valued at a staggering $205 million, making it one of the most legendary and talked about coins in the entire collecting community. And the fascinating part about this story is not just the jaw-dropping value, but the sheer number of unique characteristics and minting anomalies that have contributed to transforming what would normally be a simple 1-cent piece into a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece of numismatic fortune. So as we welcome you to this journey, sit back and imagine that you might just have a 1991 penny hiding somewhere that could change your life forever, because the story of how this particular cent became worth hundreds of millions is filled with mystery, intrigue, and endless possibilities that keep collectors, historians, and treasure hunters talking to this day. Now, when we examine the 1991 1-cent, we have to start with the background of the Lincoln cent series, which has been a staple of American coinage since 1909, when Victor David Brenner's design honoring President Abraham Lincoln was first struck. And while billions of Lincoln cents have been produced over the decades, only a handful achieve legendary status because of the rare errors that occurred during the minting process. And what makes the 1991 issue especially captivating is that this was a transitional era for coin production, as the United States Mint had already switched from primarily copper-based pennies to the copper-plated zinc composition in 1982, which meant that striking issues, quality control changes, and die preparation were all undergoing adjustments that occasionally resulted in remarkable mistakes. And in 1991, this convergence of circumstances led to the creation of some of the rarest and most valuable penny errors known to man, with stories of double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planches, die cracks, missing elements, and even experimental compositions, all contributing to the lore surrounding this particular date. And as collectors discovered examples of 1991 cents with bizarre characteristics, the legend of the $205 million era coin began to circulate, capturing imaginations and sparking a gold rush-like frenzy for anyone with jars of pennies who hoped to find their own fortune tucked away among the ordinary change in circulation. One of the most talked about possibilities that could justify such astronomical value is the presence of a double die obverse on some 1991 cents, where the doubling of details on Lincoln's portrait or the inscriptions such as Liberty or I in God We Trust creates an unmistakable error. And because doubling can vary in severity from minor to dramatic, the 1991 double dies that showed extremely bold separation became instantly recognizable and extremely desirable to collectors, fueling auction records and bidding wars. And then there are the incredible off-center strikes from 1991, where the coin's design is visibly shifted, sometimes as much as 50% or more, leaving part of the planchette blank and giving the coin a surreal appearance that instantly sets it apart as an error worth holding onto, especially when the date remains fully visible, which is a key factor in desirability. But perhaps the most legendary error associated with the 1991 penny is the wrong planchette strike, where instead of being struck on a normal copper-plated zinc cent planchette, a coin was mistakenly struck on a dime planchette or a foreign coin planchette, resulting in a cent-sized coin with incorrect weight or coloration, making it one of the rarest finds imaginable. And when these wrong planchette coins surface, they command astronomical values because they combine rarity, visual uniqueness, and the mystique of mint error all in one. Another contributing factor to the 1991 cent's reputation is the discovery of dramatic die cracks and cuds, which are raised metal areas caused by breaks in the die during the minting process, giving the coin a rugged scar-like appearance, and in some extreme cases nearly obliterating parts of the design. And collectors love these flaws because they are physical proof of the minting process gone awry, and when tied to a specific date like 1991, they become iconic examples of minting history. And we also cannot ignore the possibility of transitional planches, where leftover copper planches from pre-1982 were mistakenly used in later years, which means that a small handful of 1991 cents may actually have been struck on solid copper rather than copper-plated zinc, making them drastically different in weight and composition. And when authenticated, such a piece becomes a unicorn in the numismatic world. commanding millions because of its sheer rarity and the suspicion that a few experimental strikes or leftover planches slipped through the cracks in that year adds even more fuel to the speculation that a $205 million penny is possible. Since the numismatic market thrives on rarity and uniqueness, there are also tales of 1991 cents with missing clad layers or improperly plated surfaces, resulting in coins that appear silvery rather than the traditional reddish copper color, and these anomalies, when authenticated, fetch incredible prices because they combine aesthetic uniqueness with rarity, and these metallic oddities only add to the mystique of this legendary date. What really makes the story of the 1991 1 cent so compelling, however, is not just the list of possible errors, but the fact that so many of them appear together in discussions about this year, making it a hotbed of error activity and speculation. And once stories began circulating of a single coin that combined multiple errors, such as being struck on a wrong planchet with dramatic doubling and die cracks, the idea of a $205 million penny didn't seem so far-fetched anymore, especially considering how collectors with vast fortunes are willing to bid insane amounts of money to own the rarest of the rare, and history has shown us time and again that when it comes to auctions, the sky is the limit as bidders battle for bragging rights over who possesses the most unique and valuable coin. And this phenomenon explains how the 1991 penny could climb to such astronomical value in a world where rarity drives demand and demand drives prices higher than anyone could imagine. Now let's think about the broader context of why error coins like the 1991 cent achieve such attention, and it comes down to the fact that they are tangible mistakes immortalized in metal that survive against all odds in a system designed to eliminate imperfections. So when one slips through the cracks, it becomes not just a coin but a story, a mystery, a conversation piece that captivates collectors worldwide. And the rarity of such coins means that once discovered, they often disappear into private collections only to resurface decades later at auctions where the hype builds all over again and collectors fight tooth and nail for a chance to own a slice of history. Another fascinating angle is that the 1991 penny represents the everyday made extraordinary, because while gold coins or commemoratives are inherently valuable by design, the idea that a humble cent, the coin most of us overlook daily, could suddenly be worth $205 million transforms our perception of value and possibility. And that is why videos like this resonate with so many viewers, because it speaks to the dream that one day you might stumble across a life-changing treasure in your pocket change. And when people hear about the 1991 cent, they start checking every penny they own with renewed excitement and hope, searching for doubling cracks, missing letters, or anything unusual that might hint at an error coin waiting to be discovered. And the more stories circulate about incredible finds, the more momentum builds around the legend of this coin, fueling a cycle of fascination and desire that pushes values even higher. And in the case of the 1991 cent, the combination of multiple error types, speculative lore, and confirmed discoveries all combine into a perfect storm that justifies its mythical $205 million valuation. What is also striking about the 1991 cent is that its value is not locked only in the physical coin itself, but also in the narrative that surrounds it, because storytelling plays a massive role in numismatics, and the idea of a penny being worth hundreds of millions is a narrative that captures the imagination like few others. It is a modern treasure hunt, a fairy tale come true, and a living reminder that sometimes the smallest and most overlooked objects can hold the greatest secrets. And as long as this story continues to inspire collectors. Next, 1997 D1 cent USA coin, where we explore hidden treasures that most people overlook every single day. And today's story is about one of the most astonishing and valuable discoveries ever recorded in the numismatic world, the legendary 1997 D1 cent coin that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and investors alike because of its jaw-dropping errors and mistakes that have elevated its value all the way up to an unbelievable $84 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies to have ever existed. And what makes this tale so engaging is not only the astronomical price tag, but also the mystery, the intrigue, and the long list of fascinating anomalies that surround this little coin, which otherwise would have been just another piece of change passed from hand to hand without anyone giving it a second thought. Yet here we are talking about a coin minted in Denver in 1997 that has become the centerpiece of conversation in the entire collecting community and beyond. And as I welcome You into this discussion, I want you to imagine the thrill of pulling a 1997 D penny from your pocket change only to discover that it is not just worth 1 cent but has the potential to be worth a fortune so vast that it rivals the value of estates, homes, and even companies, because the combination of eras that define this coin is unlike almost anything else in history, and the possibilities that make it so valuable range from dramatic double dies to off-center strikes, wrong planches, die breaks, missing layers, transitional metal compositions, and more, all of which when combined create a perfect storm of rarity and desirability, and that is exactly why collectors have valued this coin at an astounding $84 million. So let's dig deeper and understand how a coin like this could reach such legendary status, beginning with the background of the Lincoln cent itself, which since 1909 has been one of the most iconic and recognizable coins in American history, with Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln gracing the obverse and countless varieties and eras emerging over the decades. But when we move forward to the late 1990s, we see an era where the US Mint was already producing billions of copper-plated zinc cents, and yet in the process mistakes continued to occur, and the 1997 Denver Mint struck some of the most unusual errors that remain highly sought after to this day. One of the most famous types of errors from that year is the double die obverse, where parts of Lincoln's face or the inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, or the date itself appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die hubbing process, and when this doubling is bold and dramatic, it can transform an ordinary penny into a major collectible. And in the case of 1997 D, certain double dies were so prominent that collectors immediately recognized them as extraordinary, and these kinds of coins sold for massive sums at auction, driving further interest in the year. Another equally captivating mistake from 1997 D cents includes off-center strikes, where the design is not fully centered on the planchette but shifted to one side, leaving a portion of the coin blank, and in cases where the date remains visible, off-center strikes become exceptionally valuable because they combine rarity with visual impact, and collectors love the quirky, eye-catching nature of these mistakes, and when tied to a specific year like 1997 D, they can command astonishing prices. Then we have broad strikes, which occur when the collar that holds the coin in place during striking malfunctions, causing the design to spread out unnaturally across the planchette, giving the coin a warped, stretched look. And these are particularly fascinating errors because they show just how fragile the minting process can be, and how one small error can transform a coin into something truly unique. But perhaps the most extraordinary errors associated with the 1997 D penny are those involving wrong planches, where the coin was struck on a piece of metal intended for another denomination, or even a foreign coin planchette, and when this happens, the weight and coloration of the coin are entirely off, leading to highly noticeable differences that collectors immediately recognize and treasure. Examples of 1997 D cents struck on dime planches, nickel planches, or foreign blanks have been rumored to exist, and if authenticated, such coins instantly reach the highest tiers of numismatic value, sometimes tens of millions of dollars. And in the case of the $84 million coin we are discussing today, it is speculated that multiple errors might have occurred at once, such as a double die obverse combined with a wrong planchette strike, making it a once-in-a-lifetime rarity that has no equal in the hobby. We also need to talk about die cracks and cuds, which are another key factor in error value. These occur when the dies used to strike coins develop breaks or chips, resulting in raised metal lines, scars, or even missing chunks of design on the finished coin, and when these die breaks are severe enough, they can cover large areas of the coin, turning them into strikingly unique pieces. And some 1997 D cents are known to have dramatic die cracks running across Lincoln's portrait or through the reverse, creating highly desirable and collectible varieties. Then there is the matter of transitional errors and plating mistakes, as by 1997 all pennies were supposed to be struck on copper-plated zinc planches, but occasionally leftover copper planches from earlier years or improperly plated planches slipped through the minting process, creating pennies that weighed differently or appeared with unusual coloration. And in the world of numismatics, transitional and composition errors are some of the rarest and most highly prized anomalies, because they represent accidents that should not have been possible under standard minting practices, yet somehow they exist, and whenever such coins surface they command astronomical prices because of their undeniable rarity. We also cannot overlook missing design elements, another fascinating category of error where parts of the coin's details fail to appear due to filled dies or grease-filled dies, which occur when debris obstructs parts of the die during striking, and as a result critical letters, numbers, or even parts of Lincoln's portrait may be missing, and collectors find these especially intriguing because they turn the coin into a puzzle, an oddity that showcases how imperfect the minting process can sometimes be. And in 1997 D pennies, there are known examples of missing letters in Liberty or faded Iron God We Trust inscriptions, further fueling their desirability. Now let's turn to how a coin like this reaches such astronomical value at $84 million, and it comes down to the interplay of rarity, demand, and narrative, because in the collecting world value is driven by the intersection of uniqueness and desirability, and when a coin is one of a kind or nearly impossible to find, collectors with immense resources will battle fiercely to own it, driving prices into unimaginable territory. The 1997 D penny in question is believed to be one such one-of-a-kind example that not only carries multiple errors but also holds historical significance as part of the Lincoln Cent series, and when auction houses get hold of such a coin, the publicity alone pushes the value higher as more and more bidders clamor for a chance to claim ownership. And that is why we see prices that seem surreal yet entirely possible in the high-stakes world of rare coins. The $84 million figure attached to this penny reflects not just the coin's physical attributes but also the mythology and legend that surrounds it, because every coin with a story becomes more than just metal. It becomes history, art, and treasure all rolled into one, and when you add the excitement of discovery, the possibility that such a coin could be found in circulation, it creates a frenzy unlike anything else in the collecting hobby. And what makes this particular case even more fascinating is that stories continue to circulate about ordinary people stumbling across extraordinary coins in pocket change, reminding us that treasures are still out there waiting to be found, and that knowledge keeps hope alive for collectors around the world who dream of becoming the next person to pull an $84 million coin from a handful of pennies. And when you think about it, that is the magic of numismatics. It turns the mundane into the magnificent, it turns spare change into life-changing fortune, and it reminds us that perfection is not the only path to value. Sometimes it is imperfection that creates the most desirable treasures in history, and the 1997 D penny is a perfect example of this principle in action, because without the mistakes, without the errors, without the unexpected anomalies. Last 2013 D1 cent USA coin, where ordinary pocket change can become extraordinary treasure. And today we are diving into one of the most talked about and unbelievable stories in modern numismatics, the legendary 2013 D1 cent coin that has shocked the collecting community with a mind-blowing valuation of $100 million because of the astonishing errors and mistakes that occurred during its creation, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever to exist. And this story is so captivating not just because of the record-shattering value but also because of the long list of anomalies that collectors and experts have discovered over time, which prove that even the most recent and seemingly ordinary coins can sometimes hold unimaginable worth. And as we welcome you into this discussion, imagine for a moment that the change rattling in your pocket or the coins hiding in an old jar at home could include one that looks like a normal 2013 D penny but is in fact a life-changing treasure worth $100 million. And what makes this tale so irresistible is that the Denver Mint in 2013 was producing billions of pennies, yet within that massive production run a handful of extraordinary mistakes occurred, mistakes so significant that they transformed an ordinary 1-cent coin into a historic artifact that collectors will talk about for generations to come. And it all begins with understanding that by 2013 the United States Mint had perfected the process of striking copper-plated zinc cents, yet perfection in mass production is never truly possible, and every so often a rare and dramatic error slips through the cracks. And in 2013 D pennies, those errors ranged from the subtle to the extreme, and it is the extreme examples that have achieved legendary status, with collectors paying astronomical prices and creating the lore around the $100 million penny. So let's explore the possibilities that make this coin so valuable, starting with doubled dies, which are always among the most Coveted errors in coin collecting, because when the hubbing process of the dies is misaligned, the result is visible doubling on inscriptions or design elements, and with the 2013 penny collectors have reported examples where "I in God We Trust" or "Liberty" appears with dramatic doubling, or where Lincoln's profile itself shows clear separation lines, and such doubled dies, especially when bold and eye-catching, can elevate a penny into the realm of the truly rare. Another major category of errors in the 2013 cents includes off-center strikes, where the design of the coin is not properly centered on the planchette, and in some examples the design is shifted so far that part of the planchette is left completely blank, and yet if the date remains visible, these coins become incredibly valuable and highly desirable because they provide clear proof of minting mishaps and a visual oddity that even non-collectors can immediately recognize as rare. And then we have broad strikes, which occur when the collar that normally holds the planchette in place during striking fails, causing the design to spread outward unnaturally across the surface, and when this happens the coin looks warped, stretched, and unlike any ordinary penny, and collectors pay huge premiums for such mistakes. And it is believed that some of the most spectacular broad strike examples from 2013 are among the key pieces driving the incredible valuation. But perhaps the most astonishing errors tied to the 2013 1-cent coin are those involving wrong planches, where pennies were struck on planches intended for other denominations or even foreign coins, and when this happens the resulting coin has an entirely different weight or coloration, making it a standout rarity in the numismatic world. And in 2013, reports surfaced of pennies struck on dime planches, resulting in thinner, lighter coins with incomplete designs, and these wrong planchette errors are some of the most valuable in the entire field, and when authenticated can sell for staggering sums of money, easily reaching into the millions and contributing to the legend of the $100 million penny. In addition to wrong planches, we must also talk about die cracks and cuds, which are raised lines or missing chunks of design caused by breaks in the dies themselves. And in some 2013 pennies, dramatic die cracks run across Lincoln's face or through the reverse, creating scars that are not only visually striking but also historically significant, as they provide tangible evidence of mint machinery failing under the pressure of high-speed production. And when these cracks or cuds are large enough to alter the coin's appearance dramatically, they become incredibly rare and highly collectible, adding even more weight to the story of why this coin is so valuable. Another category of errors that cannot be ignored is plating issues, because by 2013 all pennies were copper-plated zinc, and sometimes the plating process went wrong, leading to coins with missing layers, uneven plating, or coins that appear silvery or gold-toned instead of the normal copper-red color, and these anomalies create unique eye appeal that drives collectors wild. And when combined with other errors like doubling or off-center strikes, plating mistakes become part of the reason a coin can skyrocket in value. Transitional errors also come into play here, as there are persistent rumors that leftover planches from earlier compositions were mistakenly used in 2013, resulting in coins that weigh differently than normal cents. And when authenticated, transitional errors are among the most valuable finds in all of numismatics, because they are not supposed to exist and yet they do, and that impossibility is exactly what drives their extreme value. What also makes the 2013 penny so captivating is the presence of missing design elements caused by grease-filled dies, where debris in the dies prevents parts of the design from being struck clearly, resulting in coins where certain letters or numbers appear faint or entirely missing. And collectors love these types of coins because they are quirky, unique, and undeniable proof of mint errors, and when such mistakes occur in conjunction with other errors, they magnify the coin's rarity and value. Another possibility that fuels the legend of the 2013 penny is the concept of multiple errors on a single coin, because while any one error can make a coin rare, the combination of two or more errors on the same piece makes it nearly unique, and uniqueness is the cornerstone of value in numismatics. So when you hear stories of a 2013 penny struck on the wrong planchette with dramatic doubling and die cracks all at once, you begin to understand how such a coin could achieve a valuation of $100 million, because collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying a piece of history, a story, a one-of-a-kind anomaly that cannot be replicated or replaced. And when such coins surface at major auctions, the bidding wars that ensue often drive prices far beyond what anyone thought possible, adding to the myth and legend that surrounds them now. It is also important to understand that the value of this coin is not just about its physical rarity but about the narrative that surrounds it, because storytelling is powerful in numismatics, and when people hear about a modern penny being worth $100 million, it captures the imagination like nothing else, because it suggests that unimaginable treasure could be hiding in plain sight, and that possibility fuels excitement, drives interest, and keeps collectors searching through every penny they can find in hopes of uncovering their own miracle coin. And the more stories spread, the more the legend grows and the higher the coin's value climbs. And when we look at the role of grading services like PCGS and NGC in confirming these errors and assigning grades, we see how legitimacy drives the market, because once a coin is authenticated, encapsulated, and labeled as a dramatic error, its value skyrockets. And when such a coin is put up for auction, the headlines it generates only add to its allure, fueling even higher bids from wealthy collectors and investors who want to own a piece of history. And this is how a coin like the 2013 D penny achieves its record-breaking valuation at $100 million, and possibly even more in the future, as the legend continues to grow and demand continues to outpace supply, because in the case of unique or nearly unique coin, supply is essentially one and demand is unlimited. What makes this story even more thrilling is the idea that coins like this could still be out there hiding in circulation, waiting to be discovered by someone who least expects it. And that thought keeps hope alive for millions of people who check their pocket change every day, dreaming of finding the next life-changing rarity. And this sense of possibility is what makes coin collecting so magical.